Welcome to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast for women. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created the Positive Growth Doctor after years of dealing with societal expectations, self-doubt, and perfectionism. I leveraged my 30 years of experience as a positive psychologist to address limiting beliefs and gain clarity to build confidence and navigate obstacles to achieve a healthier well-being. I knew that pain all too well, so I empower women to achieve confidence and live a positive-centered life. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. And let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of the Positive Growth Doctor podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. Can you believe that we are already halfway through 2025? It just seems like yesterday we were celebrating New Year. Now, I love the idea of starting fresh every year. And, research suggests that it really is motivating for individuals every year, and they get really excited about setting goals, right? Well, we were halfway through now, and there's this noticeable flaw that we get into. So I was just thinking, why not make it a habit that halfway through the year, we decide that we're going to refresh and reboot. Okay, so we check on our goals, see where they're at, even make new ones if we need to, right? It's a whole 6 months after all. So, it's a stressful time right now too, when you think about it for women, because, kids and grandkids are going back to school, and there's so many transitions that occur during this time of year that it just makes perfect sense to do a reset about this time. So in this episode, we explore how stress fuels self-doubt and strengthens the cycle of perfectionism and comparison, especially when we're getting into that slump, right? And we dive into ways that we can recognize those signs of stress and give you some strategies to reset and reclaim your confidence for the rest of 2025 and beyond, because it's all about developing new habits. So find the full transcript for this episode in your favorite podcast app and share the podcast with other women to help them grow on their journey in life as well. And you can extend reach when you leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I appreciate you. So let's talk about understanding stress and self-doubt as women. Stress is a part of life. No one's immune to it. It's always going to be there on some level, or it's always going to creep up, in between when things are going really well, then it's back in, right? And women are more likely to report high stress and emotional experiences associated with stress than men are. Now, on the other hand, men report more physiological symptoms of stress. And they also tend to use different strategies than women do in dealing with stressful events, and neurologically, they respond differently to the stress. So high stress events can lead to feelings of inadequacy and negative thought loops and self-criticism. So when we're stressed out, everything gets amplified, doesn't it? Women are expected to have it all together, right? In our roles as wives, mothers, daughters, employee. And I always say that no one is harder on me than me. And I suspect that you probably get, right, on a deep level as well. And at the root of much of this is fear. And that fear fuels the fire for so many things. And with that comes anxiety and eventually avoidance when we do not meet our own high standards. So if you're noticing the avoidance suddenly, big sign that something big is about to happen, even bigger, right? Because eventually it rolls over into burnout. And that's where that avoidance comes from. And then everything comes to a head. So, and it impacts our ability to cope because we're not perfect. We're human beings, right? So, just how stressed out are you? Well, you think you might know or have an idea, but you might be surprised by that answer. So, I think that having that awareness around your stress level is really important. So I've got you covered, and I posted a stress quiz on my social media channels for you to take. And it's just 10 quick questions. So check that out, okay? So I want to give you some strategies to reset and reclaim your confidence as a woman. Now, before I do that, though, I do want to kind of mention that we all experience stress differently. So we notice it in our body differently. Like you might have that muscle tension or headaches or, um, maybe difficulty thinking straight. You might feel cognitively impaired in a way. So many things, right? But we all do that differently. So keep that in mind and just be mindful of that in your own body because those are signals that your body is sending to your brain. Okay, it's a help in a sense. Something's not right. And we need to readjust and do something different. So I incorporate somatic coaching into my program because of the heaviness of perfectionism and self doubt. And because of stress's impact on our body and our mind. So there are many different strategies out there to support women. And it's not a one size fits all. And you know what works for you. We all have those preferences, right? So I explore different options. So first I want to start off with some general lifestyle changes that can be made to support you. One, I know, getting enough sleep. And it's recommended to get 7 to 9 hours at night. When I'm really stressed out, I'm not sleeping well at all. I'm not, and I might have limited sleep, but I might not have really good rest either. So, in fact, recently there was a few days where my sleep was, so I had to work harder to get it back on track. Um, So there's a variety of things that you could do to kind of work on your sleep. But the biggest thing is the stress and get it handled basically, because that's probably going to be culprit. Lessen your sugar and your alcohol and your caffeine intake, especially if you have autoimmune issues. And I do have autoimmune, so I notice it, the difference it makes when, I stay away from those things. Because it really creates havoc in your body and also increases some of the muscle tension and the problems as well, and disrupts your sleep. And remember that alcohol is a depressant. Okay. It's very important to remember. Get moving, even if it's just a little bit here and there. It matters. Moving your body really matters. And it also helps with that tension. Okay. Engaging in tasks like hobby. And you might be thinking, I have time for this. And you don't have to take a lot of time for it, even just a little bit. These are soothing things that, like gardening or walking or crafts, just little things that, for you that are helpful. And you know what they are, right? We're all different. We all have different things that, brings us joy. And the other one, this is the fifth one, and it's being intentional in your day. And this sounds so cheesy, right? Oh, be intentional. But it makes such a difference. And I was shocked at the difference it made for me because I have a morning routine that I'm into. And it starts off with a devotional with my son and, him getting off to school. Um, and sometimes he'll even do this with me, but I'll listen to a daily spark that promotes growth, emotional growth. And it's not that long. It doesn't take very long. Um, and it motivates me. It reminds me of my why for that day and why I do what I do. Then he also listened to a real quick daily hope from my pastor. And, for the same reason, it motivates me and reminds me that I am not alone in this day. Um, and I make sure that I have a healthy drink. And right now it's like the mushroom teas and coffee, or a green drink, something that I'm pouring into me, something healthy and something good because I care about my well-being and my health. And, I do a quick journal that kind of walks me through setting intention for the day. What's important to me. And I have multiple things on my schedule every single day. And so my time is important and how I spend my time is important. So I get intentional with that in choosing 3 things that I need to complete for that day or, work towards completing at least. And I prime myself, with my breathing techniques to support, regulate my nervous system. Not only do I do that in the morning, I do it when I take breaks throughout the day. And also whenever I get up during that break to kind of stretch my body. Now, so those are just things that are, getting those good habits going every day, right? Those are your habits. But here's some strategies when it all comes up and it's, oh my, it's hit the fan, or I'm feeling really anxious, something's going on. Here are some strategies to reduce that anxiety associated with the stress and potential for it. Okay. And I just mentioned the breathing technique. That too is a very defined strategy to help bring your body back to homeostasis. When you are experiencing the fight or flight, or if you're starting to escalate and get anxious. And there's so many different counts that you can do. I like and respond best to taking that deep breath in for 5 count, holding it for 2, and then out for 6. And then repeating it as often as you need to. And whenever I'm doing that throughout the day, I'll do it a few times to repeat it. But it's like breathing in for 5, deep breath, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold for 2, and out for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That extra breath out, okay? The next is proximity, and that probably sparked your memory that, yes, we talked about proximity last week. And because it is so important. How you surround yourself, it matters. It does. And I'm not talking about the negative people that discourage you, that are, fueling that self-doubt and causing you to question yourself. I'm not talking about those people. Minimal contact with those people. And you might have to have contact with some, but you set those boundaries, right? And that's a whole other episode. But, I'm talking about surrounding yourself by those people who listen to you and they encourage you. Okay. What you do matters to them. They walk beside you and support you. And this can even be a coach. This is what I do. I coach people. But I also have my high performance coach and coaches as well. I'm a big believer in coaching. It's very important. And the next one is actually all about your belief. Being understanding and committing to your beliefs and what is important to you. Now, your beliefs about yourself and the world, they're so important, right? They're very powerful. It can help you create positive shift during the high times of stress. And we all have different beliefs, okay? And that's okay. And for me, I recognize that God created me with the purpose. And he never, ever promised that life was going to be perfect or stress-free or any of that. But he did promise that he was going to be with me along the way. And that's connected to proximity, my relationship with him. And there's tons of research that benefits on religion and well-being. You might not be affiliated with a religion, and that's okay too. Your beliefs are yours, and they're meaningful to you and can guide you into a positive direction. Okay? The next is to let go. Let go of perfectionism. And consider the bar that you set for yourself, that bar of expectation. And revisit that from time to time. Make sure that it's not a little too high. Because if it is too high, then you cannot realistically meet it, right? You're setting yourself up. So keep that in mind. Use reframing when you get those negative, and this is the last. So try not to hold on to those. And when you catch them, you can reframe to a positive. So you can even literally, usually this doesn't happen, but it has happened where I've had to be like, I have to yell it out. I refuse to accept. And this is the truth. I state the truth and I replace it with the positive thinking. So flip that script because you know what? You have control, right? Those thoughts don't have control. You have the control. So I've created the Facebook group called the Women's Empowerment Group, and we would love to have you. If you're looking, to increase proximity with positive people and increasing a healthy well-being and supporting one another along the way, that Evelina, positive. So join the community when you get a chance, if you haven't already. I hope this has helped, and I look forward to seeing you next week for another episode. Have a beautiful week.
Thanks for listening to the Positive Girl Doctor podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other women about the podcast. Let's support one another. Find the full transcript of this episode on your favorite podcast app. Watch the podcast on the Positive Growth Doctor YouTube channel and learn more at thepositivegrowthdoctor.com. And be assured, you are not alone on your journey.